started this discussion on Kuf Zayin and Bais. Today's Kuf Ches. Kuf Zayin and Bais, we quote a Mishnah in Shkalim. Mishnah is Perek Vav Mishnah Hey. The Mishnah says that there were 13 shofars in the Mikdash, and it goes through the first 7 of them. One of them said Taklan Chadatin, Taklan Atikin, Kinin. Kinin is one of them, which is very important because it's going to affect us later. Goizli Eily, Eitzim Levaina Zahav Lakapyrus, and then it says Shishal and Nadava. 6 were for Nadava. And it says Taklan Chadatin was the shkalim for each year. Atikin were for last year, which means someone that missed it. Kinin is birds. Goizli Eily are b'nei Yaina, and they're all Eilas. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. And the Chachamim say Kinin are Chatas and an Eily, and Goizli Eily are all Eilas. Then, interesting, this Mishnah over here says Ha'imah Hari Alay Yetzim, which that's exactly what we learned in our Mishnah. You have to bring 2 slabs of wood. Levaina, you have to bring a kaimetz. Zahav is a dinar zahav. So there's the same Mishnah. And then it adds in Shishal and Nadava. So it's interesting, our Mishnah here that's why now in the Gemara we're adding the Bais is quoting in Shishal and Dava, the Gemara is quoting Shishal and Dava. And the Gemara asks, in the Dava Maya Isimba, it says you buy oilus, the basar goes to the Mizbeach, which that's a oila, and the skin goes to the Kayanim. Then it goes on and it says, Zem Medrash Darash Yehoyada Kayin Gadol. The following was taught by Yehoyada the Kayin Gadol. It says, Asham hu Asham Asham LaHashem, Zeh HaKlal. This is the rule. Anything that comes because of a chait is going to be used, and there's extra, is going to be used to buy an oilus, or to buy oilus. The basar is for Hashem, and the skin goes to the Kayanim. Therefore, you have both psukim, Asham LaHashem and Asham LaKayanim. Okay, that's the
reason it has the word Asham,
right,
double. So
right, double Asham. Okay, so now we learned yesterday. We learned the opinion. What are these 6 shofras, which are pushkas? What are they used for? So the first opinion was Chizkiah. He said so that the Kayanim shouldn't fight, because there's going to be the skins that go from these are going to go to the Kayanim. If it's used for one of the days more than the other days, they're going to say, yeah, you got more of the skins than we got. So they had to divide it up for the day. What happens exactly? So unclear. What happens if there's enough? If the Mizbeach is empty and they used up Sunday's shofar, they're not going to take from Monday's shofar they're going to leave the Mizbeach empty. So some of the Mefarshim say what that means is that even though they're going to take from Monday's shofar to put animals on them, but the iris of Monday shofar is going to go to the next group. Mm-hmm. So that resolves that issue. Okay. As we'll see, and Rabbi Yochanan says that if there would be too many coins and the shofar is filled up, then what happens? Like the pile in the laundry, that the shirts or whatever you always take from the top. The bottom one never gets moved. So unless you're very fancy, your wife or the maid puts the bottom ones on the top so that it should rotate. So what's going to happen is the coins were in the bottom. That the coins in the bottom are going to rot. So you have less, we spread it out into. The Eily says that it corresponds to the different animals. Because, let's say someone donates a par or an egel, you can't exchange those. Because a par needs to be brought as a par. In other words, he's donating money to be brought as a sacrifice in the temple for the community to bring if the Mizbeach is empty. So he donated a egel, let's say. So you have to put that in the egel, into the egel one, because according to Rabbi, if you're going to put that into a par one, Rabbi says if you bring a big one, it doesn't count. It's layotza.
So that's the connection to our Gemara.
You're right. And I think also
Right
the
there.
connection is the Mishnah and Shkalim is
Right,
also
but that I didn't know.
right. That was Ze'iri. If you want to remember this, that Ze'iri is the one that says that because Ze'iri means small and Rabbi means big. So they put them both together. Ze'iri holds like Rabbi. Okay. And Bar Pada, he says that it corresponds to different leftover animals that were, either the money is left over, two interpretations here, or an animal was lost and then you had to designate another one. Okay. And then you found the first one. Now, in this last piece of Bar Pada, he brings a list of animals. We're about to start Kuf Ches Amud Bais. Amud Aleph. We're about to start on the top line of Kuf Ches. I was just saying over what we learned. Bar Pada said that it corresponds to cows, which were, let's say, chatois, that you lost one and you designated another one and then you found the first one. Or rams, which that was a type of asham that was lost and you found. The kvasim, which that was another type of asham. Or seirim, that was a type of chatas atzibar. And then he adds in, he says maisrus. Maisrus means that the price of the sacrifices went down. The price of the animals went down and you have leftover money. And finally, his last thing is v'hama. Ma means that if someone gives a shekel to the Bais Hamikdash, but he has to exchange his coins to get the shekel, he has to add a little bit of money to the temple for the exchange. It's called the kalban. A little extra. The kalban was a ma. So where did that go? So according to this opinion, the ma went into a separate shofar. That kalban went into another shofar. Notice the first 7 of the shofars had the shkalim. The 13th one got that little cost. Okay. The Gemara explains. How can we need all these opinions? Can't they agree with each other? Well, why can't they just say the same thing like Chizkiah said? What did Chizkiah say? That the reason why we need all these shofars is so that the Kohanim don't fight. Because the Kohanim want to get the skins. And each day in the temple, if they're going to use it on for one day, the other Kohanim for the other days, because it's divided into 6 days of the week, the other Kohanim are going to say, used up all the community sacrifices, and we didn't get any of the skins. So why doesn't everyone say that? That's a good reason. So they say that's because they're not going to fight. Why would they not use up the? Why would there not be a concern here? Because, let's say Sundays, there was not a lot of sacrifices brought on Sunday. So they had to take from the shofar to keep the mizbeach full. Monday, let's say, was a very busy day. So they're not going to fight because Sundays they used from that, but Mondays they had their own, whatever was going on. It's automatically, there's always something going on. Either they taking from the temple fund, or why not? Because the people are there, so they see what's going on. They're not going to fight over that.
Is there a standard of how many korbanos have to be?
It doesn't say. It just and is it
Is
possible?
there a limit that there was so little money on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? They have to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, take all the money from everything just for one day, and then
That's
the next
according
day
to-
you're not going to have anything left.
According to one of the commentaries here, they would take from the next days, and they would just give it to the Monday's day, the Kohanim.
All right.
Okay. It doesn't say. You have to be there. Rabbi Yochanan layamri, they don't say like Rabbi Yochanan, li'pushei le'cheshinan. We're not worried about the coins rotting. Okay, this doesn't explain why Rabbi Yochanan is worried and why they're not worried. It doesn't explain. Because Ze'iri layamri, they don't say like Ze'iri, because Yechidai like Mukmei. They don't want to put the Mishnah just like an individual opinion. You see, Ze'iri's opinion was that we need separate shofars for each type of animal, because let's say someone donates a smaller animal, you can't put that money into a larger animal, into a fund, because if you buy a larger animal with the smaller one, according to one opinion, Rebbe's opinion, you're not yaitzer. So they didn't want to go like that, because they don't want to make the Mishnah go like only one opinion. They want the Mishnah to be like the Rabbanan. Because Maisrus Kulu Nami Maisrus. One of the shayfers was maisers, was money that was left over from the sacrifices. That goes as a separate shayfer. So what do you mean? All the other 5 of them were also maisers. They were money that was left over. Why? Because you designated one, you lost it, you found another one. That's maisers. That's left over. It's the same. Why do you have to put those in all different in the different shayfers? And another problem is ma nami lishka'al mazla. The ma, that extra coin that was added as for the exchange of the for the coins, everyone had to give a machzas a shekel once a year. So that extra money that went to divide the shekel to the banker or whatever, so that went together with the shkalim. The Tanya was taught in the Bais, lehechan kalban zehoilech. Where does the kalban go? L'shkalim. Goes to the shkalim. So why are we putting it in a separate bucket, in a separate pushka? It goes to the shkalim. Div Rabbi Meir, that's Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Eliezer l'nedava. Rabbi Eliezer says it goes l'nedava. According to Rabbi Eliezer, this would fit barpada. The only problem is that Stam Mishnah, an anonymous Mishnah, is Rabbi Meir. So they don't want it to be Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, they want it to be Rabbi Meir's opinion. So according to Rabbi Meir, you don't have a separate shayfer for that extra coin that's added. Okay. It's interesting that the Gemara divided up the different opinions of what these 6 are for into these 4 opinions. It discusses them. And then it gives us another 2 opinions that it doesn't mix these in to the first group. I'm not sure why. Okay, Shmuel Amar. Now we're on 108.
B2.
A. It could be 2. Shmuel Amar. Shmuel says, "Keneged Meiser Chatas, Meiser Asham, Meiser Hashem Nazir, Meiser Hashem Metzera, Meiser Minchas Chayte, Meiser Asir Sefer Shel Kohen Gadol." Okay, 6 different types of sacrifices that there's money left over, which means a person designates money for a chatas and he finds out the price just went down. He doesn't need so much when he goes to buy it. The extra money goes to the shayfer. And for some reason, we need to divide it up. That the money from a chatas needs to go into a shayfer special for chatas. Okay, and the same would apply to the other karbanas that he mentioned. An asham nazir, asham metzera, minchas chayte. That's a mincha of a sin offering. If someone enters the temple when he's impure, and he offers a mincha. So the extra money goes specifically designated for that, into the shayfer that's for that. Meiser sir seifa shel kohen gadol. The last one is that the kohen gadol brings a sacrifice every day, and it's divided in half. There's a half yisarn in the morning and a half yisarn in the afternoon. If for some reason the cost of that went down, so that gets a special shayfer that the extra money goes into that. Rabbi Shi says very, very similar. There's just one difference between Rabbi Shi and Shmuel, and the Gemara is going to catch on to that difference and make a big discussion. He says also, Keneged Meiser Chatas exactly the same. Keneged Meiser Asham the same. Meiser Asham Nazar, Meiser Asham Metzayr is all the same. Now he switches. He says Meiser Kinim. He adds in Kinim. Kinim are birds. Usually the birds are brought. It could be for a lady that's tamei, or they gave birth, or it could be also for a man that was a zav, and he needs to come back, be able to become pure, to come back into the temple. You have these kinim. Meiser minchas chayte, and he adds minchas chayte. So there's a difference between Shmuel and Rabbi Shia. Is the mincha of the kohen gadol gets its own shayfer according to Shmuel, and according to Rabbi Shia, these birds, kinim, get their own shayfer, but not the kohen gadol. So it's either one or the other. Now the Gemara discusses these. Shmuel, my time aleyam Rabbi Shia. Why didn't Shmuel say like Rabbi Shia? He says kinin tanalei reisha. He says if you look in that Mishnah in Shkalim, it says there's 13 shayfras. One of the first 7 shayfras was kinim. What's Rabbi Shia adding in? And one of the 6 afterwards is kinim. Why do you need to have another one for the birds? Rabbi Shia It's interesting how to read this. He says, Rabbi Shia Tani, V'loi Tani Kinim.
He learned it and he didn't learn Kinim.
Rabbi Shia, he learned Kinim and he doesn't have Kinim. He doesn't have Kinim in the Reisha either. V'hatani Rabbi Shia. Rabbi Shia does have Kinim in the Reisha. So what's Rabbi Shia doing? Adding Kinim again. V'hatani Rabbi Shia v'tani. Rabbi Shia taught it for once and he taught it again. So v'tani Kinim. So the Gemara explains. Chad l'kinim, v'chad l'moiser kinim. There's a difference. One of them was if someone donated money for birds to be brought. And the other one was if someone dedicated money for his own birds, but he has left over. So moiser kinim is different than the kinim. Okay. Rav Shia, my time Shmuel. Why doesn't Rav Shia say like Shmuel? Shmuel said that there was a special shofar that was there just for the extra money of the Kohen Gadol's minchas chavita. If the price of the grain went down, the extra money went into this shofar. What's wrong with that? That sounds good. So Savala Kamandi Amar Rav Shia holds like the one that says Ma'aser shel asir sefer shel Kohen Gadol yirkav. It says it doesn't get brought as a something that's dedicated to the mizbeach or something like that. The extra money you're not allowed to use it all. You let it rot. It's like thrown away. The Tanya, as was taught in a brisa, Ma'aser minchas nedava, Ma'aser mincha yirkav. The Gemara has to explain what this means. It says extra money of a mincha. It looks like minchas nedava. Extra money of a donation mincha. The Gemara is going to read it differently in a minute. And extra money of a mincha goes to rad. It means it doesn't get used. My kamar, what is this double expression here? Extra money of a minchas nadav, extra of a mincha. Rav Chisda explains hachi kamar. This is what it means to say. Ma'aser minchas chayte. We're adding in a word here because it says minchas. Extra money of a minchas chayte, of a sin offering, is nadava. That's actually brought. But ma'aser sir sefer shel Kohen Gadol yirkav. Extra money of the Kohen Gadol, that goes to rad. Okay, so we have a proof. We have a brisa that the extra money of the extra money that's dedicated for the Kohen Gadol's mincha doesn't get brought as an Eily. It's just the money gets wasted. It goes to rad. That's why Rabbi Shia doesn't say like Shmuel. Rabbi Amar afilu ma'aser sir sefer shel Kohen Gadol nami nedava. That goes into the same category. Rabbi is a contemporary of Rav Chisda. He could read the brisa just like Rav Chisda. He's doing it differently. He says no. Asir se'ifa of the Kohen Gadol, is also nedava. Ela ma'aser lachmi toida yirkav. Rather, it's the extra money of a lachmi toida that goes to rad. Now, what's the reason why a lachmi toida would go to rad? Because first of all, we learned. Well, at the beginning I read this Mishnah in Shkalim. We are Darash Yayada Kayan Darshan, that anything that's a chatas, the extra money goes for Eilis. Anything that's a atonement, the extra money goes for Eilis. Now, a toida is a Thanksgiving offering. It's not an atonement. So, therefore, the extra money of a toida, what can you do with it? It's not an atonement that it's going to go to the Ketzah Mizbeach that's going to be brought for Eilis when the Mizbeach is empty. You're going to bring these sacrifices, these elevation offerings. You can't do that. So therefore, Rabbi learns that when the Bais says Yirkav, extra money of a mincha, it's talking about the mincha of a taida. Because the taida, Thanksgiving, is an animal and breads. Okay. Ubeplugta. Beplugta. This is a machlaikas. Ma'aser asir se'ifa shel Kohen Gadol. What's left over of the tenth of a ephah for the Kohen Gadol, which is brought half in the morning, half in the afternoon. Rabbi Yechon Amar Nedava, Rabbi Lezer Miyirkav. We actually have a machlekes. If that's the machlekes, then that could be the machlekes between Shmuel and Rabbi Shia. What the 6 shofars are, does it include asir se'ifa? Because according to the opinion of Rabbi Lezer, it rots, and that would be the opinion of Rabbi Shia as well. Okay, the Gemara asks Meisvei. Ma'aser shkalim chulin. What's left over from the shkalim and what's left over is chulin. Meiser asir seifa. What's left over from a asir seifa. Meiser kinin zav, and kini zav is kini yoldas v'chatois v'ashames meisreim nedava. All of that goes to the donation, which is the way we explain. It gets brought on the mizbeach. My lav, is it not that meiser asir seifa shall kohen gadol? We said meiser asir seifa. What's left over from the 10th of Eifa. That's an expression that's used when we're discussing the mincha of the kohen gadol. Now, if that's the case, so we said that it goes to Nedava, and we have a clear brisa. It goes as a donation. So why did someone just say, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shia, why did they just say that it goes to Rat? So the Gemara explains like, Meiser minchas chayte. We're talking about asir seifa is what's left over from a minchas chayte. We're not talking about asir seifa of the kohen gadol, which is unique that expression should be used. Because really, 1 second, how does this work? He brings that only out. Yeah, every mincha is really an isarim. So it's just this expression of asir seifa is commonly used by the kohen gadol. We're saying no. Here it's used for a minchas chayte. That means someone that does an aveira. He goes into the temple when he's impure. He has to bring a meal offering. So what's left over from that is in the dava. But what would happen with the kohen gadol's mincha? That goes to rat. Okay. Now it says Amar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says, "Mistabra Kamanda Amar Meiser Asir Sefer Shel Kohen Gadol Yerkav." It would make sense. It's logical. According to the opinion that says that what's left over from the Kohen Gadol, the money that's left over from the Kohen Gadol's mincha, goes to Rat. Why? The Tanya, because it was taught in a brisa. La Yasim ala Hashem and V'leitin ala Levina. By the minchas chayte, it says that you don't put on oil and you don't put on levina. Kichatasi, because it's a sin offering, so it doesn't get decorated. Now, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda says, "He kriyachatas, ve'inacheres kriyachatas." When it says kichatas, it is a chatas. It means that only this is considered a chatas, but other sacrifices are not considered a chatas. Now, I have to point out that there is a pasuk that refers to the mincha of the kohen gadol as a chatas, but then we have here an exclusion that says that it's not a chatas. Ki chatasi, only the minchas chayte is a chatas. It says limit al asir sefer shel kohen gadol sheinu kriya chatas. It's teaching us that the 10th of an ephah of the kohen gadol, the mincha of the kohen gadol that he brings every day, is not called a chatas. Tu'una levina, and it requires levina. You see, a regular minchas chayte doesn't have frankincense. The kohen gadol's mincha every day does have frankincense. How do we know? From here, because it says chatas he. Only this one is a chatas. This one doesn't get levina. That means that the kohen gadol does get levina. Midena kriya chatas. Since it's not called a chatas, so maisra yirkav. Then what's left over also rats. Why? Because that darash yayada kohen, that anything that's an atonement, what's left over from the atonement goes for an Eily, is excluding the mincha of the kohen gadol, because the mincha of the kohen gadol is excluded from being called a chatas, because the minchas chayte is called a chatas, not the kohen gadol's mincha. Okay. We're up to the new Mishnah.
Amen.
The Mishnayos are connected. And Gemara is connected as well, but it takes us back to the last topic. Last Mishnah we were discussing. Someone accepts on himself different sacrifices or different amounts of money, what he has to bring. He accepts on himself an ox, how much it costs. Here he says, Sharza Eily. It's a little different. Instead of saying Harei Alai, accepting on himself, which that creates a huge obligation if he accepts on himself, because then there's no way out. Here he doesn't do that. He says Sharza Eily. This ox is an Eily. It's much easier to do that, because if the ox gets lost, he said, well, I didn't donate anything else. I donated that. Oh, sorry. He's not responsible to replace it if something happens. B'nestoiv, and gets a mum. It's like people give their car, they donate cars they usually donate when they don't need it anymore, right? So, but even if it's like turns into a, the tires are missing and or whatever happens to it, okay. V'nestoiv, it gets a mum. So what do you do now? It has a mum. It can't be a carbon because it has a mum. So what you do is you sell it with the mum and you replace it. You exchange it. So imratza, now that you can exchange it, so imratza yavi bedam of shnayim. If he wants, he can now bring 2 oxen. Remember, he dedicated 1 ox. Well, really, we learned that if someone dedicates an animal, if someone accepts on himself to bring 1 large animal, he's not allowed to bring 2 small animals. The Mishnah before said, Shar b'mana v'hevi shnayim b'mana la yata. He says he's going to bring a shar for 100 coins, and then instead he brings 2 for 100 coins. He doesn't fulfill his obligation. Here it's totally different. Here he designates an animal, and he is able to sell it, and he's able to bring 2 with the money. Let's say he says Shnei Shvarim Elu Eily. These 2 oxen are going to be an Eily. V'nestavo, and they get a mum. So the same thing. Ratzi Yavid b'damei mechad. He can exchange it, and with the money can bring just 1 big one. Now, Rabbi says prohibits that. Remember, Rebbe's opinion was that if you bring a big animal, it doesn't include the smaller animals in it. Rebbe says that a small one is a small one and a big one is they're totally different. Next case, Ayal ze Eily. Someone says this ram is an Eily, v'nestayv, and it gets a mum. Emratzi yavi bedam keves. If he wants, he can bring a lamb instead of the ram. He can bring a lamb, a sheep.
Why?
Which is smaller. Just like he could bring 2. Here he could bring a ram. Keves ze Eily. Let's say the opposite. It's the same amount of money now. He's exchanging it. Keves ze Eily. He says
one a female, one is a male. No.
Hafsa, it would be a female. It's smaller. Keves is younger. What's happening here is that he really has no obligation. It's just he dedicated the money. The money still belongs to the temple, but he doesn't have any obligation on what it's supposed to be because he only dedicated this as an Eily, and this is not here. But the money's still not his because you just take the money from the hektish and start using it. No, this was already given. The only thing is it can't be brought. But there's no obligation there, so you can switch it for whatever. If he wants, he could bring an ayil, which is a larger one. I guess it's going to be cheaper. A larger one that happens to be cheaper. And Rabbi forbids that. Rabbi says, no, you can't. Now, we're going to see that oyser doesn't mean that it's no good if he does. Because Rabbi just says, l'chatchila, you shouldn't do this. Okay. The Gemara asks, V'amrit Reisha. Reisha means the Mishnah previously said, Shar b'mana v'hevi shnayim b'mana la yatza. All of a sudden, over here, you can exchange it. The Mishnah before says that if someone dedicates 100 coins, he says he's going to bring not the coins. He says, he accepts on himself, he's going to bring an ox that's worth 100 coins, 100 zuz, a mana. And instead he brings 2, each one is worth 50, yelo yatza. So the Gemara explains, Shar zev v'nestayv shiny. It's different, because here he didn't accept on himself. Here he dedicated the ox, Shar zeh, and then it gets a mum. That's a different story. Because his vow is not here anymore. It's not applicable. Over there, he accepted on himself, and he's still there, and he still has that obligation.
Don't they say malam b'kodesh v'lo meridin?
Okay.
So how could he degrade the animal down to lower cost animal? If he set it aside for 100, how could he bring 50?
Well, really, it's just not his. It's not the original anymore. So he really has no obligation.
Not him, but saying the kedusha. How does the kedusha go down?
We're going to see in a moment that there is a possibility that 2 is better than 1, even though 1 larger one. We'll see in a moment. Remember they used to joke, the kid that went to his father gave him $1, he comes back, he says, look, I have now 2 quarters. He says, well, you should do better than that. And he comes back with 3 dimes. You see, now we have 3. And he keeps improving his 4 nickels. It's really good. Okay. No, but here they have the same value.
Right.
It's just, and it's still 2. It's better than 1.
When does it belong to the Kodesh, and when is it still in his possession? Who's making these decisions?
Yeah. So he dedicates it
Meaning
immediately.
Then that's it. It's now no
So
longer
right.
his.
So now it's really
why
should be a
he's making
sacrifice.
decision
Oh,
if it's not his anymore?
because it gets a mum, so it can't be brought as a sacrifice.
But he gave it away already.
Oh. Yeah, but he's still responsible. He didn't bring it yet. He still has that responsibility to get it there. So that responsibility allows
the
him to.
dedication and the korban, there's a special space.
Yeah,
Which you're
I hear the
so-
question. It must be because that the responsibility gives you that ownership. I hear. Okay. Shnei shvarim elu v'nistav v'ratzi yavi b'demei echad v'Rabbi Yosef. Very interesting. The second case of the Mishnah. The first case of the Mishnah was he says this one should be an Eily, and it gets a mum. He's allowed to bring 2 for the same price. The second case says if he dedicates these 2 and it gets a mum, he's allowed to bring 1, and Rabbi argues. Very obvious question. My timer. What's the reason? Let's see. First, why is he allowed to bring 2 oxen are dedicated? They get a mum, he's allowed to bring 1. Why? My time mishum dahavli gadol behevi katan. Because no. Why does Rebbe aser? Why does Rebbe forbid it? Because it's started off as a big one, and now it's a small one. B'yafal gav dinistarv lechatchila loishari Rebbe. Even though it has a mum, Rebbe doesn't allow it to be brought as a big one. So the Gemara asks, "V'lifleg nami bereisha." Why doesn't Rebbe say anything at the beginning of the Mishnah when it said if someone dedicates a big one and he wants to bring 2 small ones? That's the same problem because Rebbe holds katan behevi gadol. 2 small ones here is being considered a gadol. The opposite, as we learned before. But 2 is more than 1. Why doesn't Rebbe argue there as well? So the Gemara explains, Rebbe akula milsa palig. Rebbe actually is arguing on the whole thing. But v'natlu l'rabbanan the maskim milsayir v'hadam miflag alaya.